So welcome back to another episode of the Disruption Podcast. I'm Noah the Baghdadi.
It's Chief Olasoji in the building, baby.
This is episode 153, and it's a bit lighter today. No Marwa, no Kalows, but we do have a guest. He's back again, and actually, we're gonna get into a lot of conversation that we've been really wanting to get into. It's the one and only Leo Alhalabi.
Let's go.
Thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Do you have an alias, bro?
An alias?
Yeah.
As in what? Another name?
Like another name that you go by, yeah.
Well, my Web3 identity, probably, yeah.
Okay.
Which is 055.eth.
Bro,
yeah.
listen to that.
Yeah. But that's something we'll definitely get into.
For sure. Everyone's like,
podcast.
what the heck did he just say right now?
Yeah. I just love the way I was invited on. Like, you reached out and you're like, hey, we butchered explaining what Web3 ENS was. We need someone to come on and talk about it.
Man, like, we thought we knew what we were talking, like, fully thought we knew what we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
As in terms of we've listened enough. Primarily, we said we just listened to you, really. That's all we said, right?
Yeah.
But like, we listened to, Leah's put out some stuff, watched a couple videos here and there. Like, we're not dumb guys. We can grasp concepts. But
we are dumb guys.
We
Look,
butchered.
in your defense, it's not an easy thing to understand. But once you understand it, it becomes like the only thing you can think about, really.
I think like the importance or like the reason why like we figured this kind of needs to happen as well is because sure, some things just look like hype, during the first year of the pandemic, it's so crazy how we say the first year of the pandemic, by the way. Like, it's just normal, it's just normal chat now, the first year. But like during 2020, pretty much, like you had obviously stocks going crazy first. Then like you have the whole conversation about like even land, like, houses and land, people are going crazy with all that kind of stuff, grants left, right, and center. Then you have NFTs going wild.
Crypto beforehand.
Crypto just beforehand as well. And then NFTs going wild. And then like, looks like everything just happens, crazy hype. And then everyone stops talking about it, hype, stops talking about it, hype, stops talking about it.
Yep.
And now what we're seeing right now is the craziness of this whole like Web3, metaverse, all that kind of stuff, right? Pretty much, I think the hype started, let's say, like halfway through last year. But the conversation had been going on for ages beforehand. Like, people are about this.
Yeah.
So why I was saying it's important that we need to get here is because we just can't get away from it, man. Like, companies are talking about it and things like that now. We're like, all right, you actually kind of need to understand this whole thing, where it's going, the potential, and what is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And that's why you're here, man, to talk to us because the proximity, and we can like, you're someone that we can actually reach that clearly understands this stuff as well, and you actually deliver it in a nice kind of like palatable way too. So,
and as far as it seems, like you're winning from it as well.
Yeah.
It's
we'll get into the wins.
Everyone's trying to win as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, talk to us, bro. What is going on? What's the like timeline of all the like all these changes and things happening been? And just
what from my personally, or
I guess
are we getting into
the whole space firstly, and
the
then
whole space
into like what you
Yeah, look, I think it's the first thing to understand is like we have went through phases where we started with something called Web 1 and then we went into Web 2. Web 2 is essentially, say, like the internet that you see today, the social media platforms that you see today, where if I log into Facebook, I have to give off my information, all my details to Facebook. Facebook, I'm a data point to Facebook. They've got all my info. They use that data, then they sell that data, correct?
Yeah.
And it's owned by a central entity. When I'm using the social platform Facebook, the person who is benefiting from my activity on the platform is the central entity, which is the multi-billion-dollar corporation called Facebook. Web3 is the next step beyond that, which puts essentially the power in the people, where you imagine you have a social media platform that's owned by no one, that is still being used in the same exact way, where imagine you've got a Facebook where everyone is on it, but the actual social platform itself is being run by a decentralized entity. And by decentralized, it means it's not controlled by one entity. It's controlled, it's essentially decentralized. So it's controlled by enough people where not one single person can, dictate what happens or benefit from all this user database on it.
Did you say like social platform, right? So clearly it's a platform and that had to have been built.
Yeah.
So who's building?
So I mean, by the way, that platform doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
This is like what we're essentially moving towards. It's just important to understand the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is that Web 3, the key word there is pretty much decentralization is the best keyword to use, and I'll delve into that as time goes on. But the people who are actually building these platforms are, people who believe. Don't underestimate when people believe in something, they will dedicate their life to ensure that it takes that it comes true. So when it comes to ENS, for example, you've got GoDaddy, right? You've got GoDaddy that controls .coms and whatever, and then you've got crazy domains, and you have all these different naming servers and hosting platforms that you can buy domains from. But they control those domains as well. Like, if Elon Musk was available and I went to GoDaddy trying to buy it, they wouldn't let you buy it, right? They'd reserve it. And so there isn't any decentralization there, right? It's centralized. And so it's ultimately controlled by one singular entity.
Right.
So then a guy came along, and his name was Nick Johnson, and he created something called ENS, which is the Ethereum naming service. And what he did was he created ENS. He along a ton of other developers got together, and they essentially created a naming service on the Ethereum blockchain. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that they look at like Ethereum as just a currency, right? But Ethereum is a blockchain that is a technology that people can build on top of. So best way to explain it is Ethereum is like essentially the App Store, and the apps built in there are all the programs like ENS. ENS is an app built on the App Store.
Of the foundation
and Ethereum is essentially that, technological, platform that people can code and build what we call dApps, which is decentralized applications on the platform. So one of them was ENS. So then what they did was he built that, and then so people could start registering .eth addresses, and your .eth address is not just your domain. So not only can I build a website lgtdigital.eth on top of, but I can actually use it as my wallet address. So let's say I want to tell a client to pay me, you just transfer the money to lgtdigital.eth, right? So what .eth also did is very similar to what .coms do. So .coms, like you see Amazon.com, right? But that is what's front facing. Technically, I'm not that sound on it, so I'm not going to act like I am. But really, behind what is behind the actual word is like, it's like a number. That address is actually a number, but what we see is Amazon.eth. In the same way, if you set up an Ethereum address, if I want to send money to you, you would send me like a long hash address. Yeah,
the ones with the zeros and the
0x, 4a, blah, blah, blah. Through ENS, I can have a username, or I can have a .eth address. And when you tell me, when you say to me, Leo, send me money, I'll go, all right, what's your Ethereum address? You'll send me a 20, 30, 40 character.
No, you're not even sure. You know the ones where you press copy, but you're like, did it really copy?
You're nervous.
You fingers crossed that you copied the right thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you tell me to send you my address so you can send me money, I just go 055.eth. That's what you put in to send me money, right? So it was a natural progression, in the same way that the domains were, just numbers like 1.00, something like that. And then now you can register through names. Yes, now you've got Ethereum ENS that solved that problem. So it's my wallet, it's my my website as well. But one thing that also you have to understand is, when I take a look at all the social platforms that I'm a part of, I'm on Instagram, okay? I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. Every time I log into these respective platforms, what do I need to do? I need to give them my name, my email, my password. I need to register and secure a domain on Twitter as well. I have to register and secure my username, sorry, not domain, a username. So I hope to God that my username, like if I have a really cool username on Instagram, let's say I've got Hustler, right? That's my username.
Why does it sound like you actually did? That came quick.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Is that a username you've been thinking of?
If I had a username on Instagram, I'd probably like Hustler, right? Yeah. But what's the chances that's available on Twitter? Now imagine, this is where Web3 comes in. Imagine now a world where there is these different social media platforms.
Regardless.
But when I log into them, all I do is sign in with my Ethereum address.
Okay.
And so my username, whether I log into the Facebook of Web3 or the Twitter of Web3 or the TikTok of Web3, is 055.eth. And when I do so, I don't have to give my information to to those platforms. That's another key word. I don't have to give them my email address. I don't have to log in a password. I just have to click sign in, confirm through my MetaMask wallet or the wallet that I use.
That's cool.
You know what I'm saying? So now I actually own my username Web3 wise.
Yeah.
I own it no matter where I go. I log in with my Web3 username. So then we start talking about the ideas of identity.
Okay.
When you have something that is associated to identity, what is going to happen? People are going to want to flex.
Yeah.
That's normal.
sure.
Man, they've turned number plates into a flex.
Yes.
You know what the purpose of a number plate is?
Bro, I thought
To
it
be
was
your
just so you know which car, bro.
vehicle identifier.
So they know where to send the fines.
That's it. Literally.
Your number plate, by definition, is your vehicle identification number.
Yeah.
Its purpose is not to be a flex.
Yeah.
Is there a multi-million-dollar number plate
100%,
industry?
Yeah.
In Dubai, D5 got sold for 9.5 million. You know,
D and 5.
no, sorry, the number 5. They just use
D
use
for
the
Dubai.
they use
okay,
that's what it is. So let's just go
All right,
5.
we get it, guys. Agriculture.
Let's even go. Let's not even go to Dubai. Let's go heritage numbers here in Australia. Millions of dollars for
888 gets snapped up because people's culture sees that's a number
Exactly.
that is really significant.
it's a
Yeah.
flex.
Yeah.
Now that's a flex that someone's going to put on their car.
Yeah.
That maybe 10, 15 people
We'll see every
will
day.
actually
Yeah.
see, right? And you can't even see who's in the car.
Yeah.
So if they're going to flex that much on a car, what would they do if every
whole world,
touch
yeah.
point
Wow.
is
Like that.
the first thing someone's going to see is their username. It's their .eth address.
Yeah.
In the future, imagine a world where everyone, like now everyone's watching going, okay, I'm learning about ENS. Let's fast forward 10 years down the track and tens of millions of people used, ENS.
Yeah.
Okay. And someone's talking and then they go, what's your wallet? And then they go this long wallet because there's nothing available anymore to register.
Yeah.
Everyone's registered. Right. And then they go, what's yours? And then you go, 055. They're going to be like, oh, what? You either spent $1 million to get this
Or
or
you're an OG
you were
in the
early
game.
and you were OG. In both ways, that's a flex.
Yeah.
And anything that can be used as a flex can open doors and opportunity into your real life. So as an example, if I have $1 million number plate on my car and I go to park somewhere, people will watch you stepping out of that car, right? That's number one. Number two, it allows you access into, this is very important, into certain groups. If I have a $1 million number plate, I'm probably going to end up in some sort of like network of other multi-millionaires or
100%.
billionaires as well, which then creates more and more business opportunities. If I reach out to someone on Twitter and I have a 3-digit address, which people know at the time of this recording is worth around 20 Ethereum, right? Which is around $40,000, right? Because of the value of that domain in your name, they're more likely to respond. And so it's like me reaching out with a verified
100%.
tick on Instagram. Okay. So when we understand that this is the way the world's going, we now go, all right, if I know that's where it's going to go and I understand human psychology and I know if this is an identifier, people are going to want to flex, what's available for me to register? What's available for me to buy cheap? What if I could get hustler.eth? And I could buy it for $1,000? Wouldn't someone in the future pay $100,000 for it? That's the mentality. And so that's the opportunity. That's where the space is right now. It's kind of being built on speculators, but the technology itself is incredible and will be here and be accessible by everyday people.
There's a lot to unpack.
I know.
I feel smarter
What are you
already.
Huh?
I feel smarter already.
Yeah, what are you about to say? Because I got like 5 different follow-on questions from that.
Sure.
Let me let you go first.
With the social platform thing, you're saying like eventually there will come one that's decentralized, right? Yeah, does that mean that there's going to be something that, and that's not foreign to how we've lived. It's just now it's hard to imagine that people will shift away from something like Instagram or Facebook or whatnot, because I think in the past, like there was Bieber, there's MySpace, there's all these things, but there wasn't enough of a hold on people's lives through them that it was easy for them to go, oh, Facebook's here now, let me try Facebook. But now like Facebook, Instagram, I don't know anyone that's not on those two plus WhatsApp, and that's all under Meta, right? So it's like there's actual hold on your life from those.
Yeah.
It's like, are you saying it's potentially going to be an easy jump for people to go, oh, there's this new thing, let's jump into that as well?
Look, man, it's not going to be easy. And I don't think that things are as black and white as that, you know. And the one common mistake to make is think just because something is you take a look at a company that's like a massive, empire, and you go, I can't imagine that ever going down or people, staying on that. You have to understand, like, when we take a look at like how long social media platforms have been around, they're going to be around for hundreds of years to come, right? Do you reckon in 200 years they're going to look back and think Facebook was a complicated or a sophisticated platform? So what's to say that something else isn't going to come that's going to add so much value? Sorry, that was just my phone. Add so much value to the individuals that they would want to make their move over. I personally, I'm spending way more time on Twitter than I do on Instagram, and Twitter itself is kind of it's the platform. It's the first social platform for crypto people to do this whole Web3 identity thing, but it's not decentralized yet. And I spend more time on Twitter than ever since I moved to Twitter. I cannot stand Instagram, to be quite honest. Like, I really can't see the value in Instagram. Twitter is incredible. Why is Twitter it's like somewhat of a crypto, one of those social platforms? Is because I can like change my username to my Web3 identifier, and it leads to something, it people interact with you according to it. You develop relationships, contacts. I flew to Singapore on the back of that, and I met a fellow Nana, who's someone who holds like a 3-digit. This guy came in, heard about the numbers, bought 100 ETH worth, just dropped it because he's a real successful like Web2 entrepreneur, and then met him, became good friends, flew to Singapore, spent some time with him, and now I have a friend across in Singapore that I developed as a result of these. You know what I'm saying? Not just changing it, but also it gives you access to exclusive groups, and it's something we can go on. But hopefully that like answers that question. Don't underestimate what would make people to move. You're already hearing it. People are hating on Instagram a lot. Like now it's like, well, Instagram's turned into TikTok. Instagram isn't what it used to be. And it doesn't, look, boycotting can spiral very quickly at an exponential rate. Like all it takes is for you to find out a few of your friends who you're on Instagram to move and start posting on another platform for you to move over, and then it just like spirals. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the follow-on question, but like in line with that, just a comment. Instagram's already put out a statement saying like they're going to change, or they're working on changing back to like reverting back to how to revert back to how things were, because of all of just how the all the users are saying, yo, like what is this? This is not what we're on here for.
What if you could get paid for being on social media?
If you could get paid for being on it,
just for being on it. Would you move to that social platform?
I mean, I might as well.
Facebook is getting paid for you to be on their platform because advertisers are advertising. What if like we ended up in a decentralized social media platform? Same thing. I'm still on there, but when I view an ad, I get paid for it, because instead of the money going to Facebook, it goes to the user who's seen the ad. Would that make you move over? That's what Web3 allows. It decentralized platform where now I'm spending time on it, and because there's no central entity trying to take the money to advertise to its users, I am the user, and therefore the money that the advertiser is paid goes to me. I'm just on my platform, and I end the day and I'm like, made $100 or something, because that's how much they've spent in ad dollars. That is possible in Web3. So what you have to ask yourself is an objective question. Does that sound like a better deal than being on Instagram? And is that technology possible? Yes. Then where the fuck are we heading? Then, Where are we going? Sorry, I swore. I don't know if you guys swear on this platform. But where are we heading? We're heading in that direction. It would make sense. It's a superior product.
This is my thing now, right? Like all of it sounds crazy. It's all well and good. I'm all like, where things are moving, let's make it like, let's move there as well. Like, how do we not get into it's just hype culture?
Yeah.
And how does this even apply to someone who doesn't necessarily have like the utility or resources rather to actually like go all in with something like this? Like for the everyday person, like for us, we're talking about like, let's be able to have our social profile, build connections, networking resources, fly to other countries, meet other people. For someone who like all of that doesn't even appeal to them, how does this make sense in their life or like apply to their life as well?
Well, look, there's a time and place for everything, right? This space would appeal to two people. The first would be this person who's like obsessed with like technology and decentralization and just wants to be involved and around other people who are interested in this.
Yeah.
That would be the first person. Second person is someone who's interested in making money.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you don't fall under either category, then the time hasn't come for you to make your way over. But if you are in either one of those camps, then this is a great opportunity. So I gave the example before. When you're early to something, what happens is you have an opportunity to be because you're one of the earliest, early individuals, you have an opportunity to connect with people because the space is so small that will in the future be out of reach. Yeah. Like I have done spaces where I've done an interview with the founder of ENS, the person who created it. And I like his tweets on Twitter, and there has like he's in reach. I could send him a DM, and because the space is relatively small. Yes. But imagine a world where like
everyone's on it.
Yeah, you can't. There's certain people that would just become completely out of reach. So you have the opportunity to network with some incredible people. That's the first thing. Second thing is when a space is new, it has liquidity coming to it, which means money is flowing towards it. We know money's flowing towards Web3. Dubai announced that they're putting aside $500 million in their Web3, in their metaverse investments. They put out a statement saying they want to be the number one city in the region when it comes to metaverse economy. So you got to think about it this way. These countries, in their mind, are treating the metaverse like its own world. They're saying we want to be one of the number one cities in our region in terms of metaverse economy market share. So if the metaverse in the region is making $1 billion, Dubai wants to be in control, wants to be the market share, dominate that market share. So they're investing into the metaverse. So we know liquidity flows to these places. Best example I can give you is people who are early to drop shipping, people who were early to Facebook ads, they made so much money, and they did so even if they had a very crappy product or crappy creatives or subpar marketing campaigns because it was cheap. They were the only ones doing it. There was no competition. And so they had this like really awesome opportunity, and they connected. They were in the circles of all the people who ended up becoming maybe the biggest or the most famous in that space. So Web3 is very similar. Yeah. If you're early to something like this, you're just going to have opportunities that won't be present in the future. Yeah. And one of them could be enormous money-making opportunities as well. You may lose, you probably will. But if you stick around long enough and you stay persistent and you're smart enough or you make the right moves, you could win. And then sometimes you'll win in ways that you wouldn't expect, like what happened to me. Yeah. But the only reason I was able to win in a way I didn't expect is because I was there. I was present. I was involved. And that's what I'm trying to say. What you need to be is just be present. Get on Twitter. Get an Ethereum address, something like your full name. Just be there. Get yourself in a community. Get yourself around people. That's what you got to do. Step number one is just be involved. Yeah. Be there.
Yeah. With the ENS domains, like, because I see what's available to purchase in that. But like for me, I'm on every platform. I'm the Gabriel, right? Like on every social platform. If I want to get the Gabriel.eth, like, does that exist? Do I have to?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if right now there's around like 1.9 million names that have been registered, and that will like probably exponentially grow as time goes on. What you do is you go to a platform called, you can go to ens.domains and search the Gabriel.eth. Yeah. And if it's available, you can then register it. Right. And when you're registering it, you're essentially just going to pay a registration fee and gas. Right. So essentially, let's say, because you get charged in ENS in 3 tiers. So the first is if you register a 3 character, it's like $640 USD per year. Yeah. So to register for 12 months, it costs $640, a 3 character domain. Yeah. Wow. To register a 4-character domain is $150 USD per year. For
This dip is crazy.
yeah, for 5 characters, it's $5 a year. Okay. Once you register something, it's worth as much as what the next person is willing to buy for it,
course, yeah.
to pay for it. Sorry. So if you have, if I was to, I'll actually double check it for you now. So I'll go to ENS Domains.
Yeah.
Another website is ENS Vision. So, you know, naturally as time goes on, you know, there was, you know, players that came out, started building, you know, platforms to make ENS, you know, more accessible, easier to bulk search. So you can actually go to ENS Vision, which I'll go, and I'm going to write the Gabriel. Is there a way to spell it?
Gabrial.
IAL.
Yep.
Okay. Gabrial.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. So it's available, right? So it came up with a tick,
Okay.
right? And then what you do is you go to you can even do it on ENS Vision, but you just have to have a MetaMask wallet. And because this is above 5 characters, it's only going to cost you like maybe $5 to $20 depending on gas to register it for 12 months. And then when you do that, you can then set that as your wallet address.
Right.
So if I say to you, if you say send me money or whatever it is,
send it to
I can send it. And then also another thing that people actually get misunderstood, or not misunderstood, they need to be educated on, is just because it's .eth, it doesn't mean that Ethereum is the only thing that can be accepted.
Right, yes.
You can send Bitcoin to a .eth address. You can send USDC. You can send a lot of cryptos to a .eth address, not just Ethereum.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go through the process and register it, and then it would show up in like your OpenSea profile, and then you could sell it. So someone may come and go, I want that, and then they register it. Yeah.
2 questions. Who's
doing the
who
registration?
created that?
Yeah.
Who created the Gabriel?
Who created it?
Yeah, like-
it wasn't created because it was available to be registered. I can register. I can register like anything. Yeah.
You're pretty much saying
He's checking,
like,
does this exist on the blockchain anywhere?
as
Right.
in
No.
not that.
I
It's
will
like
shut
when
up.
you make a Instagram username. Is this
no.
available? It's like when you're making an Instagram
Yes,
username.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
this
yeah,
available?
yeah.
So has it not been registered? Rather,
On username on Instagram, I can make up any username. It's not that it has to exist.
Yeah.
It's not like it
Yeah.
has to be in their database.
is it available to use?
Yeah,
rather?
exactly. I can just come up with something. If
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else has done it, then I can't have it.
Bro, so in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Someone is writing all this
someone's
out and
creating them,
putting
and then you can go and then
That's
you can
what I
own
thought,
it. It's
yeah.
more like,
No.
bro, what?
Yeah.
So
You
that
can
means-
register
So I
whatever you
could have
want.
been registering things as opposed to buying them.
100%.
Okay, so
Lacked.
then,
Oh,
let's say
I
like
lacked.
the,
Big time, bro.
999.
Oh, I
right?
lacked. I had that
so
so
everything
wrong.
between 000 and 999. Was that the person who created ENS's idea?
No.
Or was it somebody just came on and was like, okay, all of these are unavailable, register everything between 000 and 999.
Exactly right.
And we don't know who that was. Or we do.
No. Everyone did it. So it wasn't one person who registered all of them and started reselling. So
Okay.
what happened was so people had already registered them. So just to clarify why we call it 3-digit or 999 is because you can't actually get 2-character .eth addresses or 1 character. You can own the minimum is 3.
Yep.
So what happened was some people for a long time, for maybe years,
Yep.
every now and then someone would register like 025.eth, 055,
gotcha,
whatever,
gotcha.
right? And then what happened was
filled out.
it had its time. Yeah, recently, 3 months ago, some people started talking about it on Instagram. Some influencers being like, we were talking to people that were talking about like .eth, sharing alpha. Alpha's like advice, okay, this. And then one of them was like, oh, well, like there's some 3-digit domains available. If number plates worked, surely
Same
people
thing.
would want to flex these as like, you know, Web3 identities, right? That's how it started.
Right.
Before you know it, they're all registered.
Yeah.
No one had created and like coded, okay, 0000001. You can register whatever you want. You can whatever it is, right?
So wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then people registered and then they paid 0.25 ETH at the time to register them, the registration cost. And then they were all gone. Now here's the thing. When they're all gone and people still want them, what happens to the price?
Yeah.
It goes up.
Yeah.
So by the time I bought I bought 2 of them. I bought them for 1 ETH each.
And that was you buying it off someone who
You bought it off
I
somebody
bought it
else.
off someone on what we call the secondary market.
Yeah.
So I saw them available. I instantly knew instantly knew they were going
It's
to blow
valuable,
up. I just knew it because I've been in the space for a long time. And this is the thing, like, I've lost a lot of money through NFTs, like transparently around 30, 40 grand and just money down the drain, rug pulls, being in projects that didn't deliver what they promised.
Right.
Okay, not everyone has to go through that type of learning experience.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a risk taker. I'm a, what we call a degen, which
Bro,
is
not everyone can go through that learning
Yeah.
experience, even in general.
yeah, I know, but at the same time, like even like that's not money that they say invest money you can afford to lose. I was a bit silly. Like, that's 30, 40 grand is still a lot of money. It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
So
That'll solve a lot of problems
Yeah.
that I have mentally right now.
yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, it was just, but I was like to myself, look, if people go to uni, they put themselves 50 grand in debt to learn. I
Facts.
could put myself in debt or no.
To learn as well?
I didn't put myself in debt. I just lost money. I spend money in the process of educating myself.
Yeah.
It's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's what I used to justify so I could sleep at night, right? Let's be real. I was fucking...
Would you-
I keep swearing. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's fine.
Would
I
you
actually stopped swearing
would
at
you
one
tell
point. I don't
younger
know why I
you
swear again.
at that time
Yeah.
to not have done those things? Like those...
No, of course
jumped
not.
in- okay, yeah.
Of course not, because like if I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to see the 3 digits get registered that begin to go, and for me to instantly go, this is going to blow. I didn't even need to go through any justification. I just knew. So I straight away bought 2 of them for 1 ETH each. I spent 1 ETH on each of them. And this was when Ethereum was $4,000. So it cost me $8,000 in total. So 4,000 on one number, 4,000 on another. And then what happened is anyone who had a 3 digit, they created a group called the 999.
Now it's exclusive.
So now it's exclusive. Now the only way you can join this group is if you have a 3 digit, right? And then that group began to attract all the smartest people, the best investors in the space. So it became a super high quality group. Before you know it, we're having someone came along and spent 55.5 Ethereum to buy 555.eth, and we all lost our minds. And they actually found out who it was. It was a Chinese whale. Like a whale is in like a big investor. Like this guy's got like money, and they're like, "Did you buy it to join the 999?" And he's like, "What's that?"
Yeah, wow.
And they're like, "Why did you buy this random number?" And he's like, "For fun."
Yeah. Huh.
And because he liked the number, because it represented something. This guy came, and the floor was like the floor. When I say the floor, I mean the cheapest number on the available, right? That's how you judge collections. You judge them on something called a floor price, right?
Yeah.
Which is what the cheapest one that someone's willing to let it go for. Obviously, if people start, getting scared about a project, the floor price drops, or they need money or liquidity, people start selling lower and lower. So it's like a buy and a supply and demand type thing. When his response was, I just did it for fun, or he didn't really care about joining a group, people started to realize there's something very special about numbers in Chinese culture, in religious terms. Like the number 7 is a very significant term. When one of Jesus' disciples asked him, how often should I forgive my brother? What was his response? 7 times 77. God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh, right? And you see 7 carried throughout all the majority of the Abrahamic faiths. So you've got numbers that are very significant. You've got the number plate industry, and then you have the Chinese culture. Their actual culture, they base it off numbers. The Beijing Olympics was hosted in 2008 on the 8th day, at the 8th hour, at the 8th minute. You can look this up. It's true, right? And they have a lot. They give like a lot of. They have a lot of meaning. Like they make decisions, life decisions, when they get married, what house they buy, how they value certain homes based on their numbers. Yeah. And so numbers are so universal that it just started picking up steam. And we've since then had 0.00.eth get purchased for 300 Ethereum. Right, we've had 300 Ethereum. At the time, Ethereum had dropped, so it was around like 300,000 USD. Yeah. Now at those prices, it's worth maybe around 6.5. I would say around 5 million. Oh, sorry, 500,000. I would say 5 million. Sorry, 500,000.
Yeah.
And the floor price hit a peak of 37 Ethereum, and now it's around 20 Ethereum. So the cheapest 3 digit you can get is around, in AUD terms, I would say $45,000 or so, 40 something $1,000, right? And I have this is non-financial advice, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe we're going to a 100 Ethereum floor. I really do. Over time, I believe these numbers will be the cheapest one you'll be able to get is around 100 Ethereum, just because of the impact that they've had, the relationships that have been built, the business opportunities that are being, presented, and the flex factor that they have online, the impact it has on your profile. You get a 3-digit, you instantly get like thousands of followers and people who want to listen to what you have to. It's created that impact that's the so but I think the important thing here to understand is that they also existed for years. They just weren't registered. Are they any less valuable 7 months ago than they were 3 months ago? No. The only thing that happened,
people realized,
is that their time came. Okay, and that's the thing. People realize, and their time came. So if you're someone who can get into a space and go, if this is how people think, and this is the direction we're going in, what can I look to the real world to see what's going to happen in Web3? Will numbers do well? Yeah, that's all right. Will numbers do well?
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to be doing, if there's going to be millions of people who have got Web3 identity, and I know that people are spending millions on number plates as their identity, why wouldn't they do it? It's like me. It's like me walking around with a number plate on my forehead. Imagine how much someone would spend on that. Every interaction, you see what number I have on my forehead.
Crazy.
That's that's the opportunity that exists in Web3. Wow. So then, if you are able to, if you're the type of person that can look ahead, you can have an opportunity to make a lot of money, develop a lot of great friendships, and just be involved in a space, be one of the OGs in a space that is going to be around. It is essentially where the world is heading. And that's the reason why I was able to get 000 in Arabic and 001.
Right.
That led to that.
Let's talk about that.
Firstly, all right, so before we get into your experience with it, now with the different languages having the domains as well, right? I guess we're so used to the fact that, like, let's say with .coms or something, it's like, even like an Arabic website will have like if it's called, like, with this, I know this just because I lived in Qatar. Like in Qatar, the telecommunications company is called Uridu, right? But which means like I want or I desire in Arabic. But it's spelt out in English, so OOREDOO, right?
Yeah.
And their website would be, I'm guessing, uridu.com or .qa or whatever, right? Now, with the ENS domains, you can write these digits in Arabic or the words in Arabic.
Correct.
Because I believe you've got some words as
Yes,
well,
of
right?
course I do. Yeah.
How then would someone, like, obviously I get the copy-paste aspect, but it's like, how practical is is that in a global sense of like,
Sure, yeah.
Now someone tells me write this in Japanese or write this and whatever.
Makes total sense, right? And that argument is always brought forward.
Right.
And by the way, it's a great one because it's one that I initially thought of as well.
Yeah.
The best response to that is by saying that if you use Web 2 logic to explain what can happen in Web 3, right? You're already starting off on the wrong foot.
That makes sense.
Because we don't know what Web3, how people are going to be like on Web3. Do you know there wasn't any Arabic hashtags on Twitter, but now there is? Before there wasn't any Arabic hashtags, and now people in the Arab community write their hashtags in Arabic,
That's cool.
right? And so we can't say what's going to happen in Web3
based on what we
Second thing I'll say to you is if a domain gets sold for like $100,000, an Arabic domain written. Let's say I've got Al-Injil, which is the Bible in Arabic, right? Or Al-Quran. Let's say it gets sold for $100,000. What percent of that do you think is because it's an incredible collectible and a flex or an identity? No, you couldn't use it as an identity. But like, let's say a collectible. What percent of that would be because it's a collectible, and what percent of that would be because you can use it on a website? Obviously, the value in most of these like domains that are propped up on price is because of their flex factor. So it doesn't really matter if they're actually used as a Web3 identity or as a wallet or as a website. That's just being real. If I have like 001 in Arabic, the reason why that's going to be valued to someone is because it's an awesome flex. That's all it is, right? Will people in the future use that amongst Arabic communities to send money to? Potentially. Can it be used as a website? Potentially. We can't use like web2 standards to say what's going to happen in web3. That's the only
makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well,
go into
it. What happened, bro? What happened to you? Because our group chat went crazy that day. I stopped working.
Yeah.
I stopped working because like who even sent it? One of the homies just sent it in, and then I was like, "What the heck, bro?" Like,
I will say, like, we actually appreciate like how transparent you've been as well with this stuff. Because like me, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable saying certain figures or certain things.
Yeah.
But like also, it's just cool seeing this in real time because it. Like you're saying, like, you know, if you want to be in this, you got to be sort of surrounded by people that are also interested in it. It's just like, so seeing people that are interested in it, I'm like, yeah, this is building my interest as well. So it's very cool, that aspect. But yes, like, okay, so you had 000 and 001.eth in Arabic.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
And then
I sold 000 in Arabic for 100 Ethereum.
Which was worth?
AUD, like 160 grand.
All right. Now the maths, okay. This is my first question. Like the maths makes sense. That 160 positive is much better than 40 negative, right?
Sure.
But like, is the high of getting 160 positive higher than the low is of realizing you lost 40?
Oh, for sure, man.
It is much better.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, man. Well, made up my losses and made a
true.
profit, for sure.
4 times.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll
Give us
try
the
to explain
timelines.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Easy.
I guess also you can give timelines in terms of I did this, but like also give us like your thought processes
100%.
behind those different moments too. Yeah.
So I'll start by just quickly answering what you said in terms of transparency, right?
Yeah.
I share online what I'm comfortable sharing, and crypto wins and stuff like that. It's all on the blockchain. I can't hide it even if I tried. So you by force have to be transparent. If I sell a domain, everyone's going to know it's me. I can't really hide it. And also there's a part of me that is willing, because I feel very uncomfortable sharing figures. Yeah. There's assets that I have and money that there's certain things I am not comfortable sharing. Like I don't talk about everything. I don't, like someone's like, how much money you make? I wouldn't answer that question. Like I'm not brought up on that Middle Eastern, like it's very uncomfortable.
Private,
and by the way, like, you know, any one of my Middle Eastern family, you know how they're like, you know, people put the eye on you and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, I personally don't really believe in that so much, but I am comfortable sharing those numbers only because I know that it's what will probably pique everyone's interest to be like, let me take a look at this Web3 thing. So if I've got to be like, yes, I made a 100 ETH sale to finally spark your interest, because the best way to spark someone's interest is the opportunity of making money. That's fine. So, okay, just to quickly answer that. So the way it happened was I saw the English numbers run up, and I was there from day one, from the first group chat that was ever created from the 909 to the gated Discord channel, where like I was helping out, I was doing spaces. So I was actually one of the spokespeople, creating content, writing threads, doing Zoom calls, connecting people together. I was very, very involved in that, in the space and the initial development of the 909. There was no leaders, there was no owner. That's the great part, is like you want this to succeed, then go to work. And imagine every single person thinking in that way. Imagine every single person in your company worked as if they own the business. What would happen, right? That's essentially what decentralization provides. And that's what the 909 did. 909 is essentially a byproduct of these numbers. These numbers hold value on their own. We have people, there's like half of the people who have the numbers aren't even in the group.
Wow. Oh, wow.
They don't really care. It's just that they hold value, right? But within the actual group, it's like a alpha group or a network, exclusive networking group that's decentralized. In other networking groups, you have to pay like 100 grand a year or 50 grand a year to join. And then when you leave with nothing. I can pay 50 grand to join this. And at the end of my 12 months, after building all the relationships, sell it and get all my money back. Yeah. That's crazy, right? There's not one person telling us what to do. So it's a decentralized thing. So I was very involved, and I realized something. And what I realized is that the bullish point, bullish as in there's bears and bulls, and the word bullish means something that is in favor of the investment that I'm
Yeah.
I'm putting forward. So a bullish case that would always be thrown around for the numbers was that people in Dubai are spending millions of dollars on number plates. So they'd always be like, they'd post photos of people in the, in the shamars and like, how they dress in the Middle East and be like, man, when these guys come for these numbers, it's game
so,
over, right? So they would do that as like a bit of a joke and have a laugh and all that sort of stuff. And so it came like their marginal buyer. What a marginal buyer is essentially a person who's willing to spend the most on a particular asset. So if I buy a house in Rockbank, $500,000, my marginal buyer is someone looking to buy a home and live in it, or an investor that's looking to increase their property portfolio. But if I buy a home in Turak, my marginal buyer is someone who owns a publicly listed company or has generational wealth. So the marginal buyer of these numbers are quote unquote according, like what people are saying, which is somewhat true if they do want to enter the Web3 space. It's just fun to think about, is the same people spending $10 million on a number plate, right? Oil money, rich, wealthy Arabs in, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. They're the people who are the marginal buyers. So if the marginal buyers are Arabs, right? I thought to myself at the time, let me see if the Arabic 3 digits are available. And I typed in 000 in Arabic and 001, and they were both available to be registered. And so I registered both. Okay. So no one had thought of them at this time. And I registered both. And I spoke to a few people about it, and they're like, oof, I don't know about that, right? And I spent like $2,000 registering them. And I remember I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, I think I may have just like burnt $2,000. I'm not sure, right? Because what if people don't care about Arabic numbers? But my logic was like, in the Middle East, they actually have like Arabic number plates. You take a look at Rolex, one of the most luxurious. Rolex is the luxury brand. A lot of brands base their formula on Rolex, right? Why is it out of all the different languages, they have Rolexes with Arabic numbers? And then you look into it deeper. Did you know that English numbers come from Arabic numerals? People don't know that. The English numbers that you have today are based off, they're called Western Arabic numerals. Arabic numbers are called Eastern Arabic numerals. Zero came from Sifr, which is the Arabic, dot. And so when you start to take a look at all of this stuff, okay, it's actually used in a flex scenario. It's used on number plates. The marginal investors are already Arab. Arabs are very, very proud when it comes to their culture. For me, all of these things, the thoughts, I would lie if I said I thought them all when I bought. Initially, when I got them, it was just because I was like, well, if 000 is available and 001 is available, these would be cool collectibles. And if I'm right, and these Arabs are my appreciated, maybe one of them would want to buy this. That was my thought. But since then, I've really come to realize like they're actually very, very special. Because, people often say like, all right, well, there's only like 300 million or 400 million Arabic speakers around the world. You're talking about native speakers. That's a lot of people. Right? That's people in like countries that are Arabs. But there are like 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. And the Quran is written in one language. That's Arabic. When a Westerner becomes a Muslim, they learn the Quran in Arabic. You go to any country in the world, Quran is recited in Arabic. And so Arabic is actually way bigger, more understood and adopted around the world than just 400 million people. So I was thinking about all these things, and then, I registered both of them, and I didn't really have a big Twitter profile at the time, but I wrote a bit of an article on them. There was a few people in 999 who saw it. They registered a few, but it wasn't really creating much action. And then someone started the Arabic 999 page, and then they started moving it, and then really organically on its own, people just loved the idea.
That's cool.
And then the Arabic digits went from like being at a 0.07 ETH floor, which is tiny, to 5 ETH, 5 Ethereum for the cheapest one. Wow. It was at that time, at the peak of it all, someone slid in my DMs and he's like, because there was 007, I think it got purchased for 55 ETH. Damn. And when I saw that, I'm like, I've got 000.
More valuable one,
What the hell? Like, this is blowing me away. Like, I can't even believe this. Someone slid in my DMs and said, how much would you be willing to let go of 000? And I said, I've got it listed for 100 ETH, and that's like my price. And he said, I'll give you 70 for it. And I'm like, no, I'm all good. Then a famous ENS profile called Bloom Capital, he put up a post publicly saying, I'll offer you my Bored Ape in exchange for 000, which is worth 90 Ethereum at the time, right?
The Bored Ape was
The Bored Ape was, so he was going to swap me for it. I didn't want to swap because I wanted an on-chain purchase, which means I wanted the purchase to be directly on my OpenSea profile so that it would get picked up by the sales bots and it would be on the collection page. So on the collection page, if I just did a swap, it wouldn't say the highest sale was 100 ETH.
Just say that it was this for that.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And I really I felt like, you start to develop some form of responsibility because people naturally start to prop you up and go, all right, you're
a leader in this community.
You're a leader in this community. I'm like, and people thought I was crazy. They literally were like, if you hold on to this, it'll be worth millions. Why are you going to let it go for this price?
You're like, I have two.
I'm like, I do have two. And also like people have to be willing to let go. Like a 100 ETH sale really solidifies the actual club and it allows us to go from there. That was kind of like my thinking. Also like, it's never a bad idea to take some profits. You can't really lose doing that. So 70 ETH, I rejected it. Bored Ape offer, I replied and I rejected that. And I was like, it has to be a 100 ETH sale on chain. And then, funny how like things go full circle. The guy who I went and flew up and met in Singapore, he saw the post, calls me and he says, if you're considering swapping, I'll give you 100 ETH for it right now. And I said, NYC, like it's available for 100 ETH to buy. And he's like, I didn't even see the listing. Give me 5 minutes. And then in 5 minutes, Mo, it's actually a crazy feeling. Like I'm sitting there and then he FaceTimes me. He's like, I just want to double check this is true. And I got it on camera.
Yeah, I saw the
and
recording
then
of it,
he bought it. And then before you know it, there's like a 100 ETH sale come through. And I'm just like.
Were you at work at that time in your
in
office?
But I was by myself in the office.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so, all right. What do you say?
No, good.
And I sold 630 for 23 ETH as well, which was the one I bought for 1 ETH. So I had
630 in Arabic or in English?
No, in English.
English,
so I bought two, and then I ended up buying 0.55 for 35 ETH. So I flipped some of my profits into buying a really nice number. Yeah, because I believe in it long term. Yeah. So what were you gonna say?
So that happens, right?
Yeah, okay.
Someone you know as well, cool, whatever. You were waiting 5 minutes, sale happens, FaceTime, laters, man, chat to you later.
Yeah.
Phone's off. You're in the office alone. What's going through your head?
Yeah, what's going through your head?
Man, first and foremost, I put everything away and I was just like, had a moment where I just thank God.
Yeah.
Really, really like, it was like a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Just thanking God, being like I don't know what I did to deserve this. Like you just go through these thoughts like, wow, like I feel like it's an incredible, I've been in business for like 7 years now, right? I know how difficult it is to make 160,000 in profit. Yeah. Like in a business, it's not an easy thing to achieve, right? And so to do that off a 2-month sale on something, I really like understood its value. There was a part of me that's like, Leo, you're going to be a millionaire. This is just chump change, bro. Like keep going. Like that was a part of me, but then there's another part of me that's like, no, this is a big deal. Yeah. Take your moment to really soak it in. Yeah. And so I had my moment with God, and that was the first thing that I did. And I was just like, super grateful, very, very, very happy. And because once that sale happened as well, it gets picked up on a Twitter bot. So there's Twitter bots, there's like a sales bot that picks up all the big sales. Yeah. So when it went live, then I got very busy, like, my DMs blew up.
Our DMs went mad.
Yeah. Comments. Sorry, what was that?
I said our DMs went mad.
Everything went crazy. And so you get caught up in like, responding to everyone. And yeah, really, really like definitely a very special day.
Yeah. All right. Then I guess on that, and this is just because like I'm imagining like your parents must be pretty similar to my parents just because, I mean, Syrian, Iraqi, like same culture almost, right? When you explain to them, hey, I just made $160,000 selling this, do they get it? I'm guessing you've explained quite a bit to them, but are they kind of like, what the heck is my son doing? But fair enough, I guess.
My parents have gotten to a point where whatever I say,
they just believe you.
They're just like,
good
man,
job. Do it.
I don't understand, but go for it. Like, because like you build trust over
Yeah,
time. There's a lot of things that I did in my life, dropping out of uni, going into business, starting a tutoring company, starting a digital agency. They don't really understand, but they understand that I worked very hard.
Yeah.
Like that's the unfortunate thing as well. Like it's not easy living this life. Like
For sure.
this life also looks like coming home, like kissing my parents, barely having any energy to have a conversation and then going to sleep and then rinse and repeat for like, months on end, right? And there was a time like when the initial 3 digits were blowing up and I was really like hustling and working that. Like I would be sleeping 3-4 hours. Like I'd just jolt out of bed because I want to see, because they're on Twitter, when we sleep, it's the peak time in America and that's where all the action is. So I'd like miss out on a lot when I'd wake. So I'd struggle to sleep and I would be very tired. And so their reaction's always just like they're happy, they're proud. And my dad just always says the same thing he always does, like keep going, like keep on going, Tistahal, which means you deserve it. They see how hard you work and they're like, keep going. And I really do know this is just scratching the surface of this space beginning for sure.
Yeah.
I think, in line with that, like something that's dope is like your parents also are like, I'm just going to trust my parenting in this moment as well. It's like they know the child that they've raised. And it's like, I didn't raise an idiot. If my child is doing this, like even before seeing like profits or results, it's like, as a parent, you just end up trusting or like resting in the fact that like, I've raised this person. They're making smart decisions ultimately. Like just you do you like, and I think time and time again, like you've hit certain different milestones. I don't think when we had you on the pod last time, you'd bought your car or anything like that yet, which was like a major goal.
No, I think you had just bought the
or
car
just,
because
maybe
I
just,
yeah.
maybe just or something like that. And it's like, even when it went like that, like it was such a wholesome thing for your family. I think you recorded the whole moment almost pretty much as well. Like seeing that as well and just like it's a car, like cool, but it's a goal and you work towards it. It's like, it's not just the car, it's X amount of years of work, X amount of hours of like,
people always just see the highlights.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
it's important to remember, like I am a kid from Dandenong, went to Lindau Secondary College, right? Who had the same, if not worse, financial circumstance growing up than a lot of the people that I was around. And I just did nothing but work like an absolute madman for very many years and kept working even when the success wasn't there. And what tends to happen is when like highlights are mentioned, like sales like this or wins like buying your car, no one tends to focus on like what it took to get there. And that's why I've always recorded my journey, because I'm like, cool. I want to be able to go back on old footage and be like, look, I was there too. Right. And it's possible to get to where you are now. So with my parents, they definitely just trust. And also you got to remember, like, okay, this sale was great, but I've been in business for a long time. It's not the first time I've like made some money, and I am like the main financial provider at home. So I'm like, it's not like, oh, I trust my son, he's doing the right decision. It's like, I trust the person who's bringing in the cheese to like keep on bringing it in. I'm just like, I deliver when it's important. And honestly, like the last like 12 months, bro, it hasn't been success. It really hasn't. It's been stagnation. It's been frustration. It's been going through losing clients through COVID, to restructuring my agency, to, coming out of COVID. E-commerce is not what it's performing. It's been, it hasn't been just success. It's been 12 to 8 months of frustration. And so the journey isn't like, I always come on the podcast when things are going good. Naturally, that's just how it works, right? When you make a sale, you get invited on. But if I'm if I did a story and I'm like, guys, like, I'm frustrated. Things aren't going to plan. I've been stagnating. I've been working hard. I'm not seeing results. Would you be like, hey, let's have you on the podcast?
We want to talk about this.
Therapy, bro. That's not podcast. That's like, yo, let's go chat somewhere else.
I just want to kind of highlight that.
Yeah, no, of course. Instagram definitely is a highlight reel. It's like
terrible.
It's terrible, but it's also understandable.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, why would I air my own business like that?
Exactly.
But
One more question before we even get into documenting everything, right?
Yeah.
You tell a girl you made that sale. What's her reaction?
Oh, yeah. Bro, she knows she's with the top G.
That's amazing, right?
I'm just biting Andrew Tate. Like she knows who she's with, man.
That's beautiful, bro. That's amazing. It's just a nice feeling ultimately, man. Even like as a guy to be like, I didn't squander. Like I didn't fumble the bag. We did well, and there's more to come for this, babe. Like, we're in for a good ride.
And the cool part is like when when you initially get into this space, you're the crazy person. You really are.
Yeah.
What are you doing buying numbers? Bro, I put out a video. I gave everyone the heads up.
Yeah.
I put out a video a few hours after buying my numbers and I said, this is what I'm getting involved. But I got ignored, man. Like, okay, I got some likes, comments and stuff. One person bought, for the most part.
Yeah.
If you're talking about group chats, I guarantee there was people in group chats being
Look
like,
at this
what
guy.
is Leo doing? This psycho, what's he doing, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I was like speaking with my partner, I was like to her at the time, like, it's hard as well for anyone to really get it. But I'd be like, this is what's going to happen. It's what's going to take place. And when the sale came, it was more a moment of like, oh, you did what you said you were going to do, and what happened was what you said was going to happen. And so I don't think she was that surprised either. She was just happy for me.
That's
like
amazing.
anyone who loves you would be happy for
I think that's also a very like dope thing. I mean, very unrelated to this whole thing, but just like it's comforting. Like when you're in a relationship with someone where it's like, if this happens, you're excited, but you're not more excited than before it happened. You
Bro,
know, like that's
big
that's
time, man. I feel that 100%.
that's dope.
Whether things are going good, bad, it's all the same.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's going to be happier when things are going
Yeah,
good
like
for me.
like anyone.
Yeah, like anyone would.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you record and document everything. I remember when you actually put that first video up. I went and actually tried to search all this stuff up and like, because you did a pretty good job of explaining it. I'm like, all right, bet, let me try to enter this whole space. I was like, yo, this is techie confusing. I'll say it for another time. I ended up actually jumping on board, like, I think just before you made that massive sale. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're in some good, we're in for a good ride, hopefully, right? But your whole documenting and capturing things, Road to Millions as well, which is something that you're doing right now. I think episode 3 is what you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, I've
Road
got
to
episode
Millions?
4 that I've got to shoot. Yeah.
So thinking behind that, what is the purpose of it? You've explained it in the introductory video though, but like for people listening, what's the purpose behind it? And what does it mean, Road to Millions? Right?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, in our space, in like the social media entrepreneurship space, everyone gives you content when they've succeeded, and it's very like hard to relate to it, and it's not very inspiring. Like I like seeing when someone has a nice car. It doesn't really inspire me though. What inspires me is like if I see a video of them, you know, hustling in their bedroom and going, oh wow, like if he was there and now he's here, I can do that too.
Same thing. Yeah.
And I then took it another level. I was like, if I get inspired because someone shows old footage when they're now successful, imagine if I watch someone through a live documentary and I tagged along and I joined them in their journey to make millions and I followed suit as well. And when they're sharing videos being like, I just had a win, I'm like, oh, I just had a win. And when they're sharing videos being like, I just had a loss, I'd be like, oh, I had a loss. This person's like, it's like this idea of a live documentary. So, you know, you have documentaries. Imagine one live.
Yeah.
That was what Road to Millions is. It's supposed to be a real-time documentary of an entrepreneur who came from humble beginnings that is making his way to becoming a multi-millionaire. Now, the money, the idea of millions is obviously, if I said, I've got this, you know, documentary called Road to Becoming Happy, bro, who would watch? Road to Becoming Successful, that's a bit vague. But if you say Road to Millions, it piques people's interest and it's good for you know, people click on it, they'll be interested to watch. But really, it's more just like a journey, a documentation of a journey to being more than what I currently am. Okay. And that's all it really is. And, you know, through that, I want to share the ups, I want to share the downs, and I want to commit to that. And when I started recording it, I wasn't in the best place. I started recording it when I was like towards like the bottom of like my, you know, I was a bit frustrated, a bit like, I always will have my moments of gratitude because I know like I still have a business, I have staff, I have like I'm okay. But bro, like no entrepreneur who got into entrepreneurship for wanting to become a better person and grow will be satisfied if they are exactly where they were a year ago in a year's time. If they don't, like, I want growth. That's what I want. It's not money. I want growth. I want to wake up feeling like I am better than what I was yesterday.
Right.
I could be at 10 million a year. I'd still want to do better. Like, it's not because of the money. It's just
As a human.
Am I getting better?
Yeah.
Am I moving forward? Am I growing?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, that point of frustration. I'm like, man, let me document my journey out of this.
Right.
It's just that it happened very quickly with the sale. That's all it was. Like a sale kind of like just went like this and kind of went like, let me pull you up. But
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, was it episode 2 or 3 where
yeah,
you
it
were
was like episode 1 and then like episode 3 was like the sale. And I'm like,
In my mind, I was like, okay, so Road to Million is gonna be like 6 episodes.
I got those comments. I got so many of those comments. Like, what, bro? What is this going to be? 10 episode thing? Like, what the?
Mini series.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. No, it's beautiful to watch them, man. Yeah, just this whole like the journey thing and like that's what I was gonna ask you as well. Like, all right, Road to Millions, is the goal the millions or is the goal something other than that? Which is clearly like
I mean, millions for sure.
Millions, obviously,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. But obviously that whole like the growth process and actually like learning a bunch of different things as well. What I guess now it's episode 3 only, so there's still so much more to go. And like we enjoy watching the journey, like tuning into it. Like,
Thank you.
I hate for the most part watching people tell me stuff that they're doing or how to do some certain things, especially on like an Instagram and like 4-minute video, 10-minute long. I'm like, shut up. Like, I'll figure it out myself. Like, I'll do my life thing. But like, I genuinely enjoy watching the journey and seeing the episodes and seeing like this is someone who says they're going to do something, does it, but also like is not fake in how they're going about it. Like you clearly like, you also want to just see everyone win. And I mean, to your business name as well, let's grow together. Like, it's also pretty cool to see that, like, that energy is transferred throughout all that you're doing, right? What's a takeaway that you're, like, getting from, or, like, the main takeaway you've gotten from this whole season? Like there's, I can say your whole journey, but there's been so many different stages of that. Like, obviously, your different businesses you've started, getting into ENS, crypto, all that kind of stuff. But, like, I guess in the past 12 months, let's say, what's been the takeaway that you've kind of like gotten from all of that?
Oh man, the takeaway is like if you're showing up every single day and you're putting in the work, you can't judge your success in a linear fashion. So linear fashion is like, I should be going like this, right?
More
realistically,
work,
it's more like the exponential letter E, which is like this, and then you have a turning point, and you just shoot, you just shoot up. So, a lot of time we spend our time in that sideways trends before we have like our explosion up. And so we're hovering here. We're very close to like our having our exponential growth, and we're frustrated, being like, I'm not moving. No, you are. You're moving to this. You're moving
closer to the shooting point.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're heading in that direction. So that's the first thing. Like, things can like really change and grow, happen overnight. Would probably be the first thing. Second thing is that your hours output don't translate to direct success. You have to be a lot smarter with how you work. So if I'm like starting a business, let's say, for example, I start a business where it's an Uber, but I use horses. I can work every single day for 18 hours a day. That business is going nowhere. True?
Yeah.
So really, like, hard work isn't the answer.
The issue.
Yeah. It's making sure that what you spend your time and energy in is in a product or a service that genuinely solves a pain point, and in a market that is growing. The reason why I slowly started to move towards Web3 is because I looked at my agency and I looked at like how we're servicing e-commerce brands. But if we take a look at like the way the economy is going, we take a look at way Facebook is with the iOS 14 tracking issues. It's become much harder to achieve results through advertising. I'm not saying e-commerce brands aren't going to be around. They're always going to exist. But it's pretty obvious to tell that it's not the same as what it was before, where like every day it's just a new e-commerce brand hitting us up. Let's, now think people are like kind of retracting. So the actual, the economy, the clients that we have available to us, we're not in a growing, I don't feel like we're in a fastly exponentially growing industry. It's easy to grow when you're like that.
Yes.
So what is currently in that phase? Web3. Web3 is in that phase. And that's what I learned is like, it's not just about the hard work. It's about, being smart, being in the right industry, and then working smart too.
With the whole, that was a beautiful answer, man, for sure. With the whole, like, social entrepreneur, like space, people being out there talking, expressing, you know, do this, do that, or I've done this, I've learned that. One, for example, Andrew Tate, how do you think it's changing our society and the way people think or like act per se? And I guess like two, is there a right place for like people that like this to exist? Like, is it benefiting us or is it making us worse in any kind of way?
You guys are trying to get me cancelled?
It depends on where you take it. Right?
No,
But like,
no.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm happy to speak on it for sure. So I really want to make sure I answer the question.
Yeah.
So if you can rephrase that again.
So pretty much like, so we have this whole space where people are like, social entrepreneurs, or like people are putting their lifestyle out there and like having some form of like influence on how people make more so financial decisions, more like these days you see like, how do they decide to like, you know, live their life? Do you like, how do you think it's impacting our like society or just like, the world in general, having these types of characters or people in existence? And is it making us better or worse in any kind of way?
I mean, it really depends. Like, I feel like we all have a choice to take away what we choose to take away from like listening to certain people speak, right? When you listen to someone like Andrew Tate, you find yourself going, I agree with what he said. That's 100% correct. And then you're like, don't know about how I feel about that. You know, like it's a bit, I disagree with that. So it's very polarizing, right?
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, when I watch someone like Andrew Tate, I see a master at attention generation, right?
100%.
And so I try to learn from that.
Yep.
Okay, why is it that he's so successful at generating attention?
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, not only is he a master at generating attention, but he's a master at monetizing that attention, because attention is currency.
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, I watch someone like Andrew Tate, and what I'm taking away from him is like how I can generate more attention, monetize attention, be a better entrepreneur. So I choose to take from who I'm watching what it is that I want to take, right? Yeah. Now, if I'm the type of person that I love entrepreneurship, I love to make money, I love to grow, that's what I'm going to take out of someone like that. If I'm someone who loves to be triggered, loves to debate, loves to, push my opinions down people's throats, I'm going to take a look and go, this guy's terrible, he's this, he's that. And if I'm someone who's a misogynist and I, believe in all these extreme views, I'm going to look at him and be like, this guy is God, right? Like, so
that's my king.
It really will it really will just come down to like each individual person and what they choose to take away from someone who is speaking. Yeah. So why Andrew Tate is successful is another whole conversation. And the reason why I believe he's successful is because you have someone who can't be cancelled, who is extremely wealthy, so he's so powerful, right? Who's also very strong and dangerous in his own respective way. So it's hard to kill. Literally, even on a government standard, he would probably be hard to kill, right? He lives in Romania, right? For starters. So he doesn't even live in the US. Yeah. You can't really affect him. The money that he makes you can't have a platform turn him off. Yeah. You can't have a job fire him. You can't have a business where people can go live. You can't cancel him. So his money's coming in. He's also quite powerful in a dangerous sense, right? And he's speaking what a lot of people would love to say. That he's speaking what a lot of people have speak in background conversations, and they're latching onto him and being like, man, this guy's saying what I wanted to say. That's that's why he's blowing up. Because right now, we take a look at our society, and that cancel culture is huge. Yeah. Right. And a lot of the time you sit there as an average citizen and you'll see the way that people get cancelled for making jokes. Yeah. You see the way that people get cancelled for making certain comments. And then you're just like, I don't really agree with that. Like, I don't.
It's not a sustainable way for us to move.
It's like, that doesn't make sense to me, And then, but you don't really say much other than maybe to your friends. Yeah. So then when someone comes out and he's got a platform and he's just like
call it out,
going crazy, right? And then you take a look at like some of the things that he's saying. This is where it becomes polarizing. So he'll come out and he'll say, and this is where like there's like that fine line, but he'll say things in a way that'll trigger certain people to go crazy, but it's also hard to say that it's not true. So if he'll come out and he'll say, well, men are stronger than women. And so therefore, if you have someone who is, say, biologically a male who's become a woman, they shouldn't compete in the, it's like, that sounds logical, doesn't it? But now it's like, you say something like that, you can get cancelled, right? But he comes out and he goes, no, you
That's
can't
just what
cancel
I
me.
think, yeah.
That's just, and then so people go, all right, like, comment, because they're kind of like validating what they originally think through him, and there's a huge majority of people who think in that way, and maybe it's been pent up, and they're seeing people get cancelled, and he's giving them that, like, I don't know, that gateway to have what they want to say freely spoken about. Like, he talks about the differences of men and women, traditional roles, things like that, and you're like, okay, this actually shouldn't really be that controversial. His delivery, certain things that he say kind of make it hard to defend, right? So he'll on one hand be like, you know, women, promiscuity is not the same as male promiscuity, right? I believe that's true. I don't think it's the same, right? But then he'll say, if my woman does OnlyFans, I deserve 100% because I own her body. And I'm just like, oh. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm not saying that it's not, like, he has his own logic, but I can also sit here and be like, okay, you're the top G in your own way, and I get that, but I also don't agree with this.
Yes.
So the problem is, if I go, oh, I like Andrew Tate, the issue is that he's so polarizing. When you say I like Andrew Tate, it means I like everything that he says. That's not true. I don't.
100%.
You know, as an entrepreneur, I like the way he moves. He's very smart at attention grab. But I also, there's parts of me that disagree with him on a lot of things. Even like I was watching a video of him talking about how he ran his webcam studio, like how he would, you know, use the women, and then he would be talking to the men, and men were taking out loans, their entire life savings, like everything to give to this women. Then he was the one talking to them, and I'm like, okay, I understand your mentality. Your mentality is this is a dog eat dog world. Anyone who's a loser, such a weakling who's going to give his money to a woman on the internet he's never met, deserves, like, you know, he talks, deserves to have his money taken by top G like me, right? And I get that. I understand this worldview, because I'm like, okay, I understand it. But personally, for me, I would never be able to go sleep making money that way.
100%.
Like, just destroying someone's life, taking their money. Like, I'm not that much of a savage. And that's okay. Like, I can still have a conversation with him.
100%.
And be like, oh, I disagree with you, but I also agree on other things. And I think that's the thing about someone like him, is so polarizing in what he says, that he gets so much attention, and he's found a way to monetize his attention so well that he's become so powerful. I'll tell you, like, a prediction, Andrew Tate is going nowhere.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that.
He's at 108,000 students on his, like, Hustlers University thing. I reckon he'll get to 1 million.
108,000.
That means he's making.
Goodness gracious, that's
the
less
thing.
than
He's making
$500,
tax-free money. So 108,000 times 49 USD, $5.2 million a month. So
what?
He's making $63 million a year
USD.
in money, tax-free USD. And I'm telling you, he'll get to 1 million students. You're gonna have Andrew Tate at 1 million, right? Times 49, times this guy's gonna be making $588 million a year. I genuinely believe that. And I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Like, look, I know this is all becoming a bit speculative, but you got to think about it, right? You have a guy who's going to...
His fan base is growing. 100% is growing.
Big time. You're not going to stop his train.
100%.
And you can't ban him.
And the more negative attention he gets, the more positive attention
This is the crazy part, right? And this is why, like, from a savviness point of view, you can't help but go, I respect it, man. It's smart. Why? He doesn't even have a TikTok account. How can you cancel him? TikTok can't even shut down his account. He doesn't have one. The people who create the TikTok videos, there's thousands of accounts on him. How can TikTok possibly shut him down? They can't, because you can't close all of these different accounts. So he's like, no one platform can like cancel him.
It's these people that are like, the students are the ones that create the accounts.
Yeah,
right?
because
like,
they're making money through the affiliate links, and they're making money through that way.
Incredible. I was explaining this to the guy.
It's really genius. So you have someone who's like, You can't cancel him. He's extremely polarizing. He's a master at attention, and he is filthy rich. He's also very dangerous. Like, I wouldn't, like, he says something, he goes, he's got the War Room, right? War Room is on top of Hustlers University. You pay like $5,000 a year or something and you become a part of it. And it's like 2,000 people in this War Room. And he goes like, if you're wanted, or you need a passport to a country, the War Room is where you get it. If you're wanted and some bad people are after you, the War Room is where you come to get that handled. Like, and I believe organizations like that have always existed.
Of course, yeah.
It's just that he's making it like really public, where you join a community of very dangerous people who are also wealthy with a particular set of skills, and you can get a passport to any country. You can have protection. Any country he's got bodyguards. He's got this, like. Man, don't look past a War Room being able to put hits on people and like take them out. Like, honestly, bro. Like,
okay, sorry.
I'm getting really like speculative here, but it's fun. We're just having a fun conversation.
No, for sure. Okay, because for me, that is like, that's the point where I'm like, okay, either this doesn't stop or it comes crashing down.
It won't.
Like, as in, genuinely, like, Interpol has to come after him at some point if there's like organized crime. You know what I mean?
The only way it'll get shut down is if he's killed.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying.
And then the whole operation stops because it's built on him.
Sure. But think about the amount of people that he has also indoctrinated and impacted. You take him out,
there's still a lot of mentalities.
It will literally create thousands of Andrew Tates.
You took away the Messiah for them.
Yeah. So you know how there's this quote? This is an interesting one. There's a quote that says, you know, strong men create weak times.
Yeah, I like
weak times create strong men.
Yeah.
Strong men create peaceful times, and peaceful times create weak men. But then weak men create strong times, right?
Yeah.
So we take a look at society, and it's obviously very clear to see that we're in tough times, and there's weak men around everywhere. Like, it's so easy to say this. It's not even a controversial conversation at all. It's not a controversial conversation, right? And now I feel like the pendulum is starting to shift into this new, and it makes total sense because at our toughest time in the world, pandemics, recessions, wars, divide, it's like the world is in absolute chaos. We are very easily in that like tough times. It makes sense if the quote is true that after tough times, strong men are coming next. And he embodies that like strong man ethos, and he's also like got an army of people that support him who are like, now, okay, I'm going to work out. I'm going to get my gun license. I'm going to make money. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get educated. I'm going to do this. And so he will develop. The problem is through that, he's also going to naturally develop real misogynist and sexist and people with like extreme views. But
I think that's...
He's going nowhere.
Yeah.
He's going nowhere. It's only going... I genuinely don't think we have even seen what he's got coming next. Like, I don't think people really fathom what money and contacts can really do. Bro, he can do so much. He can actually do so much, man. No. I don't know what his next move's going to be.
It's very interesting, like, watching... Because I'm one of those people where, like... And this is just my thing in general. Like, I'm never too committed to any, like, celebrity figures, right? Like... I will like them. I might dislike them a bit, lean a certain way, but I'm like, I could listen to anyone talk, to be honest, you know? And like you said, I'll take away what I like and I'll discard what I don't like. But just watching it, I'm like, it's very interesting watching someone create a massive cult following. Like, just the psychology behind it is so intriguing to me as well. It's like what is making all these people really rush to this? How represented do all these people feel? Because clearly that's what they feel, right? Which is, like, I think that's a very, regardless of what people's opinions might be, it's like the idea of being represented or heard or seen is like just a human desire, full stop, in whatever way, right? So it's like, how has this guy grasped all of this? Now, obviously, I have my own personal things where I'm like, I can't agree with this. I think similar, like, maybe certain ways that money was made or some of the misogyny and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, it's a bit much for me. But then there's certain things where I'm like, yeah, like I'll hear it and I'm like, it's just a fair point. Like, you know, the competing in certain sports or certain things or all that kind of stuff. Or it's like, even as simple as like, when like, he's like, oh, like, why would I listen to someone's advice if they are like significantly less successful than me, right? What color's your Bugatti?
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, right?
color
Like
is
I
your
actually
Bugatti?
get that. Like it's a fair point for him to make. But just watching like that figure be created in pop culture is very interesting because he's not known for. Well, personally, I don't think he's known for his like athleticism. I don't think he's known for anything specifically. Like he's a little bit like a male Kim Kardashian. You know,
Interesting.
like there's not a talent that I attribute to him.
Yeah.
Except-
I actually disagree with that, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
fair. Like, except the only talent I
Except-
think he has is the
Attention.
ability to generate and retain interest,
Bro, okay.
which is exactly what Kim Kardashian has.
my response. Okay, my response to this is Andrew Tate
Yeah.
is a world champion kickboxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy spent the first half of his life learning to be a fighter,
Athlete,
right?
yeah.
So his talent
Yeah.
is that he's an actual martial artist.
Fair.
Being someone who has done martial arts my entire life,
Yeah.
I know how difficult it is. I'm a good fighter, but I would get smoked by the Australian champion.
Well, so were
let
you
alone-
aware of him before this whole thing?
I wasn't aware of him. No,
Okay.
I was aware. I became aware of him through
this
all,
whole
the, all,
phase.
all these
Right.
things. Yes,
Cool. Yeah.
I initially saw him on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Yeah.
That was where it initially came about. So I get what you're saying. He is a master,
Yeah.
but I'm saying though his foundation is very different to someone like Kim
Yeah,
Kardashian
yeah.
because he's a world champion kickboxer.
Okay.
He's very intelligent. He communicates very well. When he has a point, he's obviously a very good communicator. You wouldn't. He wouldn't be able to make the points that he makes. Do you know why a lot of people gravitate towards him? Because they have the thoughts that he has. They just don't know, they don't really communicate it well.
Yeah.
Whereas he will like use examples and metaphors and that's a sign
Yeah,
of
he can
someone who's a
communicate very
very
well.
good
Yeah.
speaker.
Yeah.
And he's a very intelligent entrepreneur. You can't like put that beyond him.
Yeah.
So I don't actually find it surprising at all that a figure like him has risen during this time.
Yeah.
Because if you would actually think about it like prophetically in a way, like in some sort of like weird Messiah way, no way am I saying
Yeah. Nah, here you go,
because
here.
it's so funny. Like, do you see he'll talk about like being I'm a man of God, right?
Yeah.
Right? And he'll be like, he'll be like, and this is the thing that like sometimes will like just show you that people will like they won't really think too much into the contradiction of what someone says. So he'll be
Yes.
like, he'll talk about how Islam is the last religion
Yes.
and talk about like, and use that to get his points. And then you have men in the Islamic community be like, yes.
Yes.
Like this guy's saying that Islam is right. But bro, like everything about his life is haram.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like
100%,
he did
yeah.
a video where he was like haram, and then this is against the will of God. And then he put Islamic music in the background in a prayer and he went inside a church.
Bro, man, it's
Bro,
all-
He's a
like,
very like
he-
interesting guy. When it comes to the religious stuff, I'm like, that's the one area where I'm like, I cannot listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is very like, he's very, it's almost troll, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he knew what he was doing. He put out a video
Yeah.
where he's talking about haram.
Yeah.
So there's Islamic prayers in the background, but he's walking in a church. And then you have comments saying, mashallah, brother.
Yeah.
God bless you,
Yeah.
brother. May Allah guide you, brother.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, guys, like, you
Are
understand?
you not aware of
Yeah,
what's...
like
yeah.
the contradictory here.
Yeah.
But that's natural. Like, you can't stop people from like, there's always going to be a percentage of people that won't look beyond, they'll just see the very surface.
Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me because we are at that time where like, the conversations of the day are always around like feminism. Men are being felt like, they're just being attacked for being manly, for being masculine, for their normal masculine traits. Then you have all these like controversial issues, so much divide, so much issues in the world. Economic, bro, they changed the definition of what recession was. That's what the US government has done. Like the definition of a recession is
That's what you mean.
2 consecutive quarters of a shrink in like economic growth, of GDP growth.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, but they're not saying that we're in a recession. They changed the definition.
So now it's like, well, clearly we're not in a
That's the
recession.
powers
Yeah.
that are in control. They
Wow.
just come and they change the definition. Oh, you think you have freedom? You live in a free society. I used to think that.
Yeah.
And then we got locked in our homes. That's not free.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna live in a free society, but you have to put something in your body. That's not free.
Yeah.
So people are starting to realize
Yeah.
this, and he talks about the idea. Go watch The Matrix. Listen to it carefully, and you'll see a lot of like similarities to real life, and like and how you think. Like you think you know what life is, but then people, and he's come in and he's like exposing certain things, or he's talking to certain things. he is essentially people's representation. That's what it is.
Yep.
You've got millions of people who feel
Feel that way.
like they can't say these things, and so they live through him in a way because you can't cancel this guy. And naturally, there's going to be extremes.
Yeah. And I think the contradictions also now just help to appealing to a bunch of different people, because that contradiction means that it's contradicting one aspect of something, but it's appealing to another aspect of something as well. So the possibilities are just endless for who he appeals to and who feels represented in what he does, which is wild.
Oh yeah, that's
which is so wild.
Point,
Literally,
right?
the contradiction now just adds another element of someone else that can say, bet. I feel represented in that.
His entire life is haram, but yet he has like followers from the Muslim Islamic faith who are like, oh, he says that Islam is the right religion, but like if you were to speak to an actual Islamic sheikh and you tell them about Andrew Tate's lifestyle,
like,
they'd be like, bro, this guy's the
devil.
He's the devil. He's the definition of it. That's the shaitan. And literally, his entire life is hedonism and complete like sin. Why? What?
How are you? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%.
So, but he's done it well. You know.
It's wild, bro. Before we get down into that full rabbit, I mean, it's awesome seeing your growth, man. Thankfully, you're not that kind of such a polarizing individual. Everyone is gravitating to what you're doing. You have so many supporters, man, and we're in your corner, bro. We just ultimately love seeing it, and like I think we were talking about it beforehand. Like, there's not many people that would like just like openly just follow and watch what they're doing because we enjoy it or because we actually believe in them. Like most people are like, just you do you, like I'll do me, and when like we'll all get there together kind of thing. But like to actually just watch and like learn as well is it's just a beautiful like testament to who like, how person you are.
And I
like,
appreciate the support, man. Really do. Like it means the world to me when you say things like you guys are in group chats saying things or watching videos like that. I don't see that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it means the world. Sometimes you feel like you put your videos out into nothingness, but then I'll have conversations. People are like, I've watched everything that you do. I've seen. I'm like, okay, I need to keep doing, more of this and being a person that, can be related to. So I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on.
Of course. It's been vibes, man. I guess what's next is a real question to just ask. Like, what can people look forward to right now?
What's next? I'm gonna commit to like putting out the Road to Millions episodes. When I can. So I'll like I've got my notes ready for episode 4. So you can just like tag along for that journey. I'm gonna move it to YouTube. I initially had it on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but it's not really made for those. So I'm gonna move my videos to YouTube. So, excuse me. What's next is I'm going to be continuing to take more and more steps into the world of Web3. Obviously, I have like all my businesses. I've got my agency and Cozy Cribs and things that and business ventures I'm working on. But I've got like, I've got my foot into Web3, and I'm going to over time continue to transition in that space. I want to continue to educate people, so I'll probably start making content about it. Because if there's anyone who's going to join in early on something, I want it to be people who follow me, because this is something I genuinely think will be the future. So I'm just going to keep putting out content, keep hustling, keep doing more of what I've been doing, and that's it.
Are you going to get these fake accounts cancelled or what?
The number one reply. Number one reply was like, you've made it when. This guy is a better Leo than me, man.
Yo,
bro,
he's got 12,000 followers, looks legit. And okay, can I just say something? This is the part that really bothered me when I actually realized yesterday, right? So there are people who still till now, it's been 3-4 days since I've been posting stories about it, that would DM me being like, do you have a fake account? I'm like, oh yeah, they haven't realized, right? Now here's the part that frustrates me. This guy looks so legit, right? His opening line is hello. And he's messaging and DMing girls as well who follow me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a problem.
I'm in a relationship.
That's a problem.
And I don't slide in DMs.
Man.
Even when I was single,
It's
I'm
just
not
the way
one
you
to
move.
slide in DMs, right? So there's just a part of me that's annoyed that number one, there are some girls who saw a DM from Leo, who are in a relationship or whatever, and went, oh, that's interesting. But left me on red. Or just saw it I've had a conversation with people and just left it at that. Didn't investigate further to realize that. And on top of that, like, I'm in a relationship.
Yeah, man.
That upsets me.
Like, you want to protect that. Yeah.
It really upsets me because, like, you know, I can't stop the fact that there's going to be people who think they got a DM from me whilst I'm in a and that's the only that was like a little thought that I had.
Bro, that thought that's one of those thoughts where it's like you're on your way back home from work and just ruined your day.
Yeah, just
you're like, why did I think of this?
Honestly, it would have been better for me not to have thought of it, but I did, and so anyone watching,
that wasn't him.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Sorry to break it to you. I don't slide in DMs, and I definitely don't because I'm I'm happily
faithful.
taken man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh,
that sucked. That was a thought
man.
that really annoyed me yesterday. But it's okay.
Hey man, it comes with it, bro. But
Instagram,
it's
give me
annoying
my
at the same
verification
time.
tick.
Yeah,
man.
ASAP.
It's time.
Give me that verification tick.
Nah, it's been dope, bro. No,
Thank you for
Not a
joining
shout,
us for
man.
another episode, man. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for another episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this around as well. Make sure you follow Leo at Leo Alhalabi. That'll be down there at the start and at the end right now. And we'll catch you guys for next episode. Peace out.
Peace.
Take care.
Bet.
Thanks.
That was fun. Thank you, man.
I had a lot of fun.